The Maasai Mara is the best place in the world to photograph Africa's big cats. In the last episode, we spent 3 days trying to photograph the leopard Leluka and her cub, which finally paid off with an intimate sighting of the pair. With plenty of leopard photos already, I decided that it was time to find some lions to photograph. Right out of camp, we found one of the Topi pride females on the move. This was the lioness that I had seen move her tiny cubs previously. But she quickly moved off, so we continued. We caught up with some of the Topi subadults who were scanning across the plains. They moved across the horizon as the sun began to rise, and I managed to take some incredible shots. They found a family of warthogs and began to stalk, but the warthog spotted them easily and ran off before the lions even had a chance. Most hunts end in failure, so it just meant that the lions had to work even harder if they wanted a meal. They continued on, looking for any prey they could find. This time, they found a lone warthog, who seemed oblivious to the danger he was in. The lions slowly moved into position, careful not to give themselves away like their last hunt. It was a slow standoff, with the warthog maybe sensing that something wasn't quite right, and the lions not sure how to proceed without being seen. One of the females split off and flanked around to the side of the warthog. It's amazing to see the coordination of lions as they hunt together as a team. In a flash, the lioness dashed after the warthog, determined to secure the kill. This time, the lions came out on top, and a feeding frenzy of teeth and claws began making quick work of the warthog. Lions are some of the most aggressive eaters, and with so many mouths to feed, it makes sense that everyone wants their share when the meal is so small. All of the commotion seemed to catch the attention of the pride males, who quickly started heading towards the kill. Funny how the males show up when it's time to eat. It seemed like the other lions had eaten their fill, and there wasn't too much left over for anyone else to enjoy. It was great to see the pride together, and I got a variety of shots of lions eating and big males moving in. Unfortunately, with all the driving around, we somehow got a flat tire, and had to leave the lions to change it. But we caught up with one of the males again, and he was posing nicely for even more great shots. Satisfied with my photos, we decided to leave the lions and check out some other parts of the reserve. One of my favorite areas in the Mara is the riverine forests of the Musiara Marsh. For years, this was home of the famous Marsh Pride, who were featured prominently on BBC's Big Cat Diaries. These days, members of the Topi Pride who have splintered off can be found here. The forest provides a great backdrop for photos, and plenty of animals congregate around the marsh. Giraffes are frequently found here, and are always an underrated subject in wildlife photography. We found a nice bull elephant who was slowly making his way towards the road, so we waited for him to get close enough to photograph against the backdrop of the forest. It was already midday at this point, so animal activity began to slow down. We found a nice mother zebra and her foal, who almost looked like they were cuddling. And then we found one of the Paradise Pride lioness, posing perfectly on a rock. Normally you associate lions on rocks with the Serengeti, but there are still some nice outcrops in the Mara. She just posed and stared directly at me, which gave me some of my best lion photos ever. In reality, she wasn't actually staring at me, but had spotted a water buck, and she came down and began to stalk. We waited for a while as she closed in, but the water buck moved away and she abandoned the hunt. Still, a great end to another magical Mara day. The next day, we decided to search across the plains for a very special cheetah named Nagol. We searched far and wide for her, but no luck. As we were driving around some bushes, something immediately caught our eye. It was Nagol, but we also found her brand new litter of cubs. I knew that Nagol had cubs hidden somewhere, but I never anticipated that we would find the den since no one knew exactly where it was. She kept trying to leave, but the cubs insisted on following her. Finally, she relented and brought them out. Seeing cheetah cubs in the Mara is becoming increasingly more rare, so this was a very special sighting. I knew that our presence could alert other predators to the den site, so I grabbed a few shots and then asked my guide to alert the park rangers so that they could protect the family from threats. Finally, Nagol managed to sneak away from the cubs, and it was clear that she was looking to hunt. We decided to stop for some breakfast as she walked right by, the closest I've ever been to a predator on foot. It seemed like today would be a cheetah day, so we followed her hoping to photograph some action shots. She climbed up on a termite mound to survey her surroundings, a quintessential Mara scene. I had never taken good photos of a cheetah on a termite mound, so I was absolutely loving this sighting. I was moving all around and trying to photograph with different backgrounds and light conditions, but every shot Nagol gave me was just incredible. I was 100% committed to staying with Nagol, no matter how long it took for her to hunt. The longer we spent with her, the more amazing photos that she gave us. Finally, 9 hours later, she took down an impala. Sadly, she chased it away from us, so I didn't get any shots of the hunt itself, but we were in a perfect position for the aftermath. She had to eat fast and quickly get back to the den, and with the light fading, it meant that I really had to watch my settings to get any photos. Rain quickly followed, which meant it was time to leave her and celebrate back at camp. The next morning, we headed back towards the central part of the reserve, just willing to see whatever we found. It was a cool, cloudy morning, but some hints of light came in that gave me chances to photograph different subjects. We heard on the radio that there was a family of cheetahs nearby, and decided to race over. This was Nashipai and her 4 sub-adult cubs, the latest mom in the reserve who has nearly raised her cubs to adulthood. They've been the stars of the Mara over the last year, and are always very photographable. We lost them in the bushes, so it was a bit of a wild goose chase to locate them again. Eventually we found them, and it seemed like one of the cubs was doing its best leopard impression by climbing up a tree. Just spending time with cheetah cubs, even sub-adult ones, is always special. We spent most of the morning with the family, and they gave me some great shots. Before we knew it, the cubs had taken down a warthog piglet. It happened so fast that I didn't even have my camera up by the time they finished. This was barely even a snack for the family of 5. Some zebras watched them cautiously in the distance, almost as if they knew that the cheetahs would have to hunt again. But instead of hunting, the cubs just wanted to play. Sure, they may be bigger now, but they still act and play like little kittens. It was hard to get photos when they were in the bushes, but some scenes are better off enjoyed with your eyes rather than through a viewfinder. Finally, after a long rest, some of the cubs got up and started to move. It seemed like something caught the cheetah's attention, and they began to stalk. All 5 of them were focused intensely on something, but I couldn't see what they were looking at. They were right on the border of the reserve and community lands. Had they spotted some livestock to try to steal? We circled around them and finally found the water buck that they must have been stalking. These are big prey, even for a fully grown cheetah, let alone some ambitious subadults. They wisely decided to give up on the water buck and search for some other prey. There was a family of warthogs nearby, which are much easier prey for cheetahs to hunt. But the cheetahs weren't going to get past the adult warthogs and chose rest for the afternoon. We decided to leave the cheetahs and head towards the southern part of the reserve, hoping to find some quieter sightings. There is usually less game in these hilly areas, but it's the perfect habitat for black rhinos, so it was still worth a shot to see if we could spot one. Sadly, we struck out on rhinos and headed back to the plains to see what we could see. We heard of an interesting sighting on the radio and had to drive past the biggest herd of buffalo that I had ever seen in order to get there. It was a serval, peacefully resting in the tall grass for the afternoon. I have seen servals before, but never as relaxed as this one. It was in full hunting mode, which was a treat to see up close and with such a photographic cat. Unfortunately, it didn't catch anything, but it gave me some of the best serval photos that I've ever taken. We left the serval and found some lazy lions just as the sun was setting. There weren't any world-changing photos to be had, but I tried to shoot a little wider and was happy with the results. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and follow me on social media for more. In the next video, we'll be spending time with some very playful lion cubs, so stay tuned.